Later this week, Mr. Thoma turns 40.
My great-great-grandma is 35. That's so old. That's dinosaur ages.
I don't know.
That's so old.
By the way, 40 is not that old. Kids around the school have been wishing Mr. Thoma a happy birthday. Stay tuned after the news to see it.
Emmett, if you could give Mr. Thoma some advice on how to play basketball, what would you tell him?
I would tell him that he would flop down and he would hit his booty.
Oh, thank you. Shreyas, what year do you think Mr. Thoma was born in?
1898.
1898, great. Thank you. Valentina, if Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, which one would he be and why?
I think if Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, he would be Buzz Lightyear.
And why?
Because he can fly.
How old do you think Mr. Thoma is?
I think Mr. Thoma is 16.3.
Ellery, what do you think Mr. Thoma does when he's not at school?
I think he maybe may do work and maybe play with his daughters. Maybe watch TV.
If you could give Mr. Thoma some advice on how to play basketball, what would you tell him?
Pass the ball.
If Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, which one would he be and why?
He would be Mickey. 'Cause he would be very funny and he would venture.
Oh, no. Superpower, what would you do?
Oh, sorry.
Bryce, how old do you think Mr. Thoma is?
26.
If Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, who would he be and why?
He would be Mickey Mouse because Mickey Mouse is really funny.
Riley, what's Mr. Thoma's favorite food?
I think his favorite food is chicken.
Maddie, what color do you think Mr. Thoma's favorite socks are?
Pink and purple.
Jackson, how do you think Mr. Thoma gets to work in the morning?
Good.
What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin, what do you think Mr. Thoma's favorite food is?
Chicken.
What does Mr. Thoma prefer to eat? Ice cream or spaghetti?
Both.
Destin, if Mr. Thoma was an animal, what animal would he be?
He would be a lion. Roar!
If Mr. Thoma could go on a trip anywhere in the world, where would he go?
To Asia.
If Mr. Thoma ate dog food, what would his face look like? That's too hard. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, keep calm. I realize that you're not 40 years old yet, but you are $39.95 plus shipping and handling.
Hey, did you hear that it's Mr. Thoma's 40th birthday?
No, but I heard he lost 40 pounds. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Mr. Thoma!
What is Mr. Thoma's favorite thing to play with?
Legos.
What do you think Mr. Thoma's favorite thing to play with is?
Dinosaurs.
frog sandwich is on me today.
Trevor, stand up.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks for everything you do and all the laughs and smiles. There's lots of stuff that we could say about
But it's
conversations.
not camera appropriate, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Captain Underpants.
Play it on the news.
Happy, happy birthday, baby. Happy, happy birthday, baby. Mr. Thoma.
Tommy, what year do you think Mr. Thoma was born in, and how old do you think he is?
I don't know, maybe like 1950, but no, not 1950. I'm thinking maybe like I don't know, maybe 73. And,
What do you think Mr. Thoma's middle name is?
Fresh.
What do you think Mr. Thoma's superpower is?
Tough.
Funny, smart, and helpful.
How tall do you think Mr. Thoma is, and how much does he weigh?
I think Mr. Thoma is 5'9", and he weighs 145 pounds.
What do you think Mr. Thoma should do this summer?
Fly off of a plane.
What is one piece of advice Mr. Thoma has given you?
Don't get hot sauce in your eye.
If Mr. Thoma was a Disney princess, which princess would he be and why?
Cinderella, because that is my favorite Disney character.
If you could give Mr. Thoma one piece of advice about playing basketball, what would it be?
To slam dunk on Mr. T.
What is the best piece of advice Mr. Tobin has given you?
No, Mr. Thoma.
What is the best piece of advice Mr. Thoma has given you?
Stop talking so much.
If Mr. Thoma was an animal, what animal would he be?
A sloth.
If you could give Mr. Thoma a piece of advice about playing basketball, what would it be?
To shoot 3-pointers.
Awesome. Okay. If Mr. Thoma wasn't an assistant principal, what job would he have?
A principal.
Mr. Thoma's secret power be?
Right here.
What do you think Mr. Thoma does when he's not at school?
Just lays around on the couch.
If Mr. Thoma wasn't an assistant principal, what job do you think he'd have?
A pig farmer.
If Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, which character would he be?
A Mickey Mouse.
If you could give Mr. Thoma a piece of advice on how to be a good assistant principal, what would it be?
Help other people out.
Be a kid.
Can you say happy birthday, Mr. Thoma?
Happy birthday, Thoma. I love you, Auntie and I love you with my dad, and my love to you. Happy birthday.
Do you think Mr. Thoma would make a better cowboy or a better astronaut?
Mr. Thoma, do you think you would be a better cowboy or a better astronaut?
Happy birthday, Mr. Thoma.
Happy birthday, Mr. Thoma. I love you.
Benson, what kind of trouble do you think Mr. Thoma got into when he was younger?
He got detention for 5 weeks.
Kara, what year do you think Mr. Thoma was born?
1971.
Fenora, how old do you think Mr. Thoma is?
42.
Jake, if Mr. Thoma had a secret power, what would it be?
I think Mr. Thoma's secret power would be to turn invisible or just know if a kid's in trouble.
Alyssa and Alyssa, if Mr. Thoma was an animal, what kind of animal and why?
Yeah. I think he'll be a girl because he's hairy.
Charlotte, what was Mr. Thoma's first thought when he woke up this morning?
A Friday? Why do I have to go to these kids again?
Jake and Tyler, if Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, what would he be and why?
I think Wreck-It Ralph because he wrecks a few things sometimes. Tyler, who do you think he would be? Mickey Mouse?
Yes.
Macy, Tim, and Robbie, Mr. Thoma's birthday is coming up. Show him your best birthday dance. Macy, if you could guess how old Mr. Thoma is, what would you say?
62.
Robbie, what's your guess?
54.
And Tim?
49.
Ooh, you're all in trouble. Hey, Jacob, Riley, and Christopher, Mr. Thoma's birthday's coming up. Give him your best dance.
Oh, I'm getting it.
Oh, yeah. All right, questions for Mr. Thoma. Christopher, if Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, who would he be?
I would want him to be, let me see, Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Riley, how old do you think Mr. Thoma is?
37.
37. Jacob, what year do you think Mr. Thoma was born?
1937.
Jacob, if Mr. Thoma could be someone other than the assistant principal, who would he be?
The principal.
What are 3 words to describe Mr. Thoma?
3 words to describe Mr. Thoma is funny, nice, and cool.
Aurora, if Mr. Thoma was a wild animal, what kind of wild animal would he be and why?
Probably his favorite. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to do a horse. Nay, nay, nay.
Julian, what do you think Mr. Thoma does for fun when he's not at school?
Probably gonna just play video games all day.
Elijah, if Mr. Thoma was an animal, what kind of animal would he be?
A bird.
Happy birthday, Mr. Thoma.
Happy birthday!
Ethan, what was Mr. Thoma's first thought when he woke up this morning?
Oh, it's the last day of school. Wait, no, just 3 more days.
Happy birthday!
How old is he?
Sadiq, what year do you think Mr. Thoma was born?
First, how old is he?
I don't know.
Maybe 1966.
Darius, how old do you think Mr. Thoma is? Ethan and Ryan, how old do you think Mr. Thoma is?
32 years old.
32.
36.
36. And do you have any advice for Mr. Thoma on how to have a good time this summer?
No. Happy birthday.
Ethan, what superpower does Mr. Thoma have?
Superpowers are nothing because humans don't even have superpowers.
Happy birthday, Mr. Thoma.
Happy birthday!
Mr. Thoma. Have yourself a buzzing birthday.
Hudson, how tall do you think Mr. Thoma is?
I think he is 7 foot.
Jaden, how much do you think Mr. Thoma weighs?
1,000.
Caitlin, if Mr. Thoma was a Disney character, who would he be and why?
Because he likes to fly around the school.
Happy birthday,
Mr. Thoma, I want to tell you what I learned when I turned 40. First, your body gives your brain a list of things it is not going to do anymore. Second, life begins at 40. So does fallen arches, rheumatism, aching joints, early Alzheimer's, and gray hair. But hey, gray hair is great. Just ask anybody who's bald. And 3 things I want you to remember about turning 40. 1, don't let turning 40 get you down. It's too hard to get back up. 2, you're only 10 years away from getting senior citizen coffee at Bojangles. And 3, everybody at Claxton loves you and wishes you the best birthday any 40-year-old has ever had. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
We are so glad that you get to work for us.
Mr. Thoma, I cannot believe that you are turning 40 years old. I remember when you were just 26, 27, 28, 29. All of those. I remember when you turned 30. And now you're going to turn 40. I wish you the best of luck with that. Start to massage those legs, those knees, that back. All of that's going to need some help from you. I have some ointment in my office for you if you ever need it. Happy 40th birthday.